Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nadia Sabrati coming to you live from Queens, New York at nadiasabrati.com. How is everyone doing today? Where are you guys? Facebook is building my audience, so I'm actually going to wait for you guys to jump in, okay? So guys, when you jump in, please let me know where you're from and so I can give you a shout out, say hello. So where's everyone today? So hey Michelle, what's up, beautiful? How are you? Michelle, where have you been? Where have you been, Michelle? What you been doing with yourself, beautiful? I haven't seen you around. I was wondering. Hey Vikas, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, thank you for joining me. Actually, I want to wait for Facebook to build my audience a little more. Guys, it's so strange, right? When you try sharing your video into the groups, even your own group, you have to they want a security code. Hey Kevin, how are you? Thank you for joining me, guys. Okay, so let's I'm gonna go pretty soon. I'm gonna get started. All right, actually I'm gonna get started now. Hey guys, how are you? Oh, Michelle, I see that I haven't seen you around. Hey Trisha, thank you for joining me. What's up, beautiful? Okay guys, so today is day 4 of our Facebook Live lead generation challenge. Hey Sam, what's up Sam? How have you been, Sam? Thank you guys for joining me. Hey Adrian, right guys? So and today's topic is what was my first car and what is the story behind it? Oh my gosh guys, I have to go back to years ago. But it's going to be a very interesting story and you guys are going to be like, oh my God, like you guys are going to be in shock, right? Yeah, long story. But anyway, let's go back to 2000. In the year 2000, hey Jerry, thank you for joining me. Guys, in the year 2000, I was married and I didn't want to drive. I never had the desire to drive. So my ex-husband at the time had a driver because, he's a surgeon. So he was like always, he didn't like driving. So he had a driver that would take him to each hospitals and each one of his offices, so he wasn't driving. So he had a driver. So wherever I needed to go, this driver used to drive me around, right? And one day, the driver, I don't know, he got on the phone, got on a phone call with his girlfriend or something like that, and he became an aggressive driver. He ran 6 red lights, and an 18-wheeler dump truck collided with us at the intersection. And by the time they got me to the hospital, I flatlined. Okay, I flatlined, I died, they had to resuscitate me. Hey Adrian, hey Devin, hey Terry. They had to resuscitate me, right guys? Anyway, I came out of I was in the hospital for a while, but because my ex-husband is a doctor, the doctors knew him, so they let me go, so they sent me home, and he was taking care of me at home, right? But guys, for days after that accident, I felt like from them resuscitating me, I felt so much pain in my chest, I felt so much pain, it was like shock waves going through. I mean, the pain was so unbearable. I went to several months of physical therapy, right? And, my spine was a little messed up. But guys, I got a scar on my face, like 100 and something stitches. But you can't tell because the plastic surgeon did a really, really good job. He did a great job. Because the plastic surgeon was a friend of my ex-husband. They went to medical school together. So he did a really good job on my face and stuff like that. So you can't really tell I have a scar, right? But it was like over 100 and something stitches. Anyway, years had passed and I never got my driver's license because I always had the fear of driving on a highway and getting in an accident with a truck. I always had that fear, guys. So, I went back to school at a later age, and studied healthcare. And I was applying to a lot of jobs in New York City. And one of the requirements was you need to have a driver's license, right? You need to have a driver's license. So I ended up, I said, okay, let me just do it. So I went and I took some classes and I failed the road test the first time. So my ex-fiance now, we were together for 9 years, right? So my ex-fiance now, he's like, you know what? Let's go car shopping. Guys, I didn't even have my license then. I only had a learner's permit, right? I only had a learner's permit. And I really wasn't pushing to get a car, but my ex was like, you know what, he's going to get me a car to motivate me to get my license because he knew that I had no desire because I was always scared of driving. I was always scared of driving, so I had no desire to drive. So he was like, what kind of car you want? And I was like, all right, well, since I'm learning how to drive in a small car, I'm thinking maybe a Nissan Sentra, right? A small little car, I'll be able to control it. So he's like, you sure that's what you want? He goes, I'd much rather you drive a bigger car. It'll be safer. God forbid you get into an accident on a highway or something like that, being a new driver. I want to make sure you're safe. So so I started arguing with him. No, I want a small car. Just get me a small car. And that's it, right? I wasn't expecting him to spend this amount of money that he was already thinking about spending. I didn't want him spending this kind of money that he spent. But we were together for 9 years and he wanted to get me a really nice car. And I wanted a small car. I wanted a cheaper car, a small car, but that wasn't in the works. He wasn't going for that, right? So we went to the car dealership and I looked at the Nissan Sentra and it was a nice car. And I'm like, oh, I like this car. It's nice. He goes, well, I have another car I want you to see. I had no idea he was thinking about another car, right? So we went and he showed me the Mercedes, an E350 Mercedes. And when I saw the car, I fell in love with it. Guys, I didn't have a driver's license yet. I had a learner's permit. I failed the road test the first time. So he's like, listen, he goes, you know what? He goes, I'd rather you drive this car. He was like, I'd rather you he goes, listen, I want to get you the Mercedes. Oh, really? A used Volkswagen? Wow. Well, listen, the Mercedes wasn't a brand new Mercedes, but it had 35,000 miles. So it was really close to being brand new, right? It was close to being brand new. It had 35,000 miles. The Nissan Sentra had 15,000 miles. So these cars were like pretty much brand new. It had very, very low mileage. Anyway, so I said, okay, so I sat in the car. Guys, I fell in love with the Mercedes. And I was like, you're actually going to get me this car? And he's like, yes, why not? I was like, are you serious? And I couldn't believe that he was actually getting me the Mercedes, but he knew all along what I like, come on, we were together for 9 years. We lived together for 9 years. We were engaged. We traveled all over the place. So he knows my style. He knows what I like. But he knew I wasn't going to get, he knew even if I had decided that, okay, I was going to get the Sentra, whatever, he wasn't going to buy that for me. He wanted me to have the Mercedes. So anyway, the next day he got the Mercedes and he drove it home. Guys, I had the road test that Monday. Guess what, guys? They failed me again. The woman failed me again. Listen, I live in New York, guys. It's not easy passing the road test, especially if you live in Queens, because there's so many traffic. And hey, Chintwa, thank you for joining me. So guys, I failed the road test again. And I was like, so I kind of lost my motivation for driving now at this point, but I knew I had to get my license because I wanted to work in the hospital. And without having a driver's license, it would be difficult for me getting a job because one of the requirements was you have to have a driver's license, right? So a year had passed, guys, and my car was parked up. The car was parked up for a year. My ex-fiance would drive it once in a blue moon just to get the machine running. He didn't even use the car. He barely ever used it, like probably once in a blue moon. Once every few months he would actually take the car out and drive it because I didn't have my license and I was intimidated of driving this car. I got comfortable driving a small, cheaper car that, when it came to driving my Mercedes, I got intimidated because there were so many things going on. It has heated seats, all these different features, all these buttons, all of this stuff, so I was a little intimidated driving it, right? Hey, Michael. I was a little intimidated driving it, guys. So anyway, the third time, I passed the road test. All right. And this was after a year. Hey, James, this was after a year I had the car parked up. Okay. My car was parked up for a whole year. I would call my brother to drive it at least once a month. Call my brother. Hey, Daryl, come over. Please just drive the car. Because, guys, if you have a car parked up for so long and you're not driving it, a lot of issues can happen, So the car was parked up for a year. I didn't even drive the car. I was too intimidated to drive it. Seriously, I'll post a picture afterwards and show you guys what the car looked like. All right. So anyway, I got my license and I finally started driving it. I taught myself how to drive my car. No one would drive with me because I just got my license. I swear, I just got my license, so no one would drive with me, right? So I started figuring out how to drive this car. I started reading the manual. I figured out how to drive this car. And I started driving it really, really slow until I got really comfortable driving it. Guys, once I got on the highway, all bets were off. This car was like, come on, your first time driving a car, your very first car is a Mercedes, come on. Usually people get a Mercedes like the second, maybe the third or fourth car, and this is my first car. So finally I got on the highway and I started driving, guys. Hey, Mary Beth. guys, I love this car. This car was so fast. This car was so fast. You know, I loved it. And I would take Angel with me, my little dog, buckle her up, you know, and take her on long drives, go to my mother's house in Long Island, you know, and, you know, it's probably like an hour drive each way. So it was good. You know, I'll go out there for the weekend, have Angel with me, and it was a nice drive. Go to the Hamptons and all of this stuff. Guys, you want to hear what happened to me? Last year, Labor Day weekend, right? I was at my mother's house for the weekend, and Angel was home. I didn't take her with me because I wanted to go to the Hamptons and all of this stuff. So I went out for the weekend, and I stayed at my mother's for the weekend. And on that Monday morning, I was driving back home on the LIE. I was on the right lane, right? I was on the right lane. And there was a utility truck in the middle lane. All right, it was right across. Chintwa knows. Chintwa lives in Long Island. It was by the LIE and the Cross Island Parkway. All right. And I was driving. I was doing like 55 miles per hour, guys. There was no cars in front of me. You know, it was good. And my brother was telling me, he's like, you know, Nadia, you know, why don't you just stay out here and go home tonight? But I was like, Angel is at home, and I don't want to leave her for like 3 days now. You know what I mean? So I actually got up that morning. It was like 11:30 in the morning, and I started driving home. Guess what happened, guys? A utility truck hit me on the highway. A utility truck hit me on the highway. And at first when he hit me, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize what was happening because I was so focused on driving home. I didn't realize what had happened because he didn't really impact me that hard, right? He hit me. It was this huge truck. It was a huge truck. Thank God I'm alive. He hit me, and you know, when he hit me, I'm like, what was that? You know, and then boom, and then next thing I knew, he hit me again, and my car started spinning, and I hit the middle divider. Guys, you know, when this accident happened, the first thing that flashed in front of my eyes was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. There's no way I'm gonna survive this, right? And what happened? It hit the middle divider, guys. And when this happened, I was like in shock. I was like in shock. Like for like a minute, my brain wasn't registering at all. Like when this happened, the airbags deployed, and I'm sitting in the car and I'm like in shock. Like I'm you know, like, I don't know. This was like, I was in shock, right, guys? And the car started smoking, and that's when my brain registered, get out of the car, get out of the car. So I got out of the car, and you know, a woman pulled up, and she goes, oh my God, thank God you're alive. We saw when the truck hit you, you know, and all of this stuff. And then the guy that hit me, guys, was this big utility truck that worked for the city. Okay, he didn't realize he hit me, and then when he realized that, that's when he got out of his truck. But he had already drove so past by, but there were 10 witnesses that saw that he hit me, right? And wow, this was an experience. This was an experience. I didn't think that I was actually going to make it, you know. And, you know, this is what happened. The cops came and all of this stuff. But yeah, the airbag deployed. I got burn marks on my chest, and the car was total. The car was total. But yeah, this is what happened to my first car. But guys, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. But yeah, you know, I wasn't hurt. If it was a cheaper car, I would have been, I probably wouldn't be here right now. You know, but my ex was right. He's like, you know, God forbid you get into an accident. He goes, I'd rather you drive this car because it will save your life. And he was right. So this happened last year. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hey, Jazz, thank you for joining me. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. So this was the topic. What was my first car, and what is the story behind it? So I just wanted to share that with you all. So you guys have any questions for me? Do you guys have any questions? Okay, well, thank you all for joining me. And guys, I will talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.